Andrews, live from Los Angeles.
This feels like he has to work so much less when Butler's not on the floor as Curry hits, and he just gave the good night.
Is that an early good night clock? It's like a 5 p.m. go to bed. I mean,
well, the vibes are high in the Bay Area, but are they sustainable? We debate Golden State and just how long their winning ways with Jimmy Butler will last. Plus, is giving up 260 points in a two-game stretch something that the Knicks need to examine? Well, Legs is here to pinpoint exactly what the Knicks need to change if they want to join the East's elite. And the Luka-LeBron connection, it's thriving, but it's the Lakers' defense that has our experts talking. How are they doing it, and can they keep it up? NBA Today starts right now. The Warriors, Brian, they've been rolling since the addition of Jimmy Butler. After a long road trip with the All-Star weekend taking over Chase Center, Bay Area fans, they finally got their first look at Jimmy in person here. We're going to pick this one up, this game against the shorthanded Dallas Mavericks in the first quarter. Jimmy Butler gets the inside jam.
Great play design from Steve Kerr. Perfect setup for him.
And then later in the first here, Steph Curry going to work, hits that step-back three. The Warriors up 15 after the first quarter here. Going on to the second.
They're playing good defense, Malika, on Steph.
Well,
what do you want from them?
Jimmy Butler, when he's helping out like this, too, goes inside for the layup. And then about a minute later, Butler, tough floater there, plus right the foul. We need to take another look at that one. Tough-looking shot. To the third, the Warriors continue to cook here. They just control right here the offensive rebound. And then Steph Curry comes up and hits the three. Listen to Steve Kerr and Jimmy Butler mic'd up watching this play.
Bang, bang. That's kind of fun watching that, isn't it? I don't want this side, right?
Heck yeah, it's fun to watch that. So then less than a minute later, still the third quarter here, Steph Curry, look who he's picked up by, P.J. Washington.
Not a bad defender.
And
good defense.
Curry, he hits the step-back three.
What are you supposed to do?
Steph does the night-night celebration. Here's what Curry said about doing so this early in the game.
So whatever the question is just a moment that I had with somebody on the other side. Longer story.
Let's talk about that longer story, shall we? Curry is referencing this. On two separate occasions this year, Washington has hit the night-night in wins against Golden State. On December 15th, another on February 12th. So then when Curry hits the three over Washington last night,
you knew that was coming.
He returns the favor a little bit here, right? Curry finished with 30 points. Golden State gets the win, 126-102.
The ball is moving. Jimmy's making his presence felt. Draymond, orchestrating the offense. Defensively, we're playing well, so just got to keep building. And it's been a good look so far.
The game feels easier right now for us. Jimmy just the game makes sense when he's out there. He gets to the line. He makes simple plays. He keeps the game in under control for us, and so you can feel the difference for sure.
You can see the difference, too, right? The Warriors, they've been elite on both sides of the floor during their 5-1 run since the Butler trade. They rank 6th offensively, 5th defensively in this stretch as well. Tim Legler joining us now. Tim, what has Jimmy Butler brought to Golden State here?
Well, look, we've talked about a lot of the things, and everybody keeps echoing the same things. Obviously, the toughness, the edge, the two-way player, 20 points a game is nice. But for me, I think it's his passing and his ability to understand where to go to occupy open spaces. His IQ is off the charts. We didn't really talk that much about it when Jimmy Butler came to Golden State because we knew they needed his offense. They needed his ability to isolate, get to the foul line. That helps their defense. It helps Steph Curry rest when he's taking, a minute of real time to go shoot those 2 free throws. All of those things matter. But I'm so impressed with his ability to fit in the confines of the continuity of their offense, because that was what you didn't know. How's that going to work out exactly? Well, Jimmy Butler just knows how to play basketball, and that's what Steve Kerr was alluding to. Simple plays that fit, and he keeps the flow moving. You don't have to disrupt anything for Jimmy Butler to be productive. That's been, I think, the biggest breath of fresh air in this acquisition, and there's no doubt they run out of the tunnel different. They feel better about themselves. They feel like they now have enough to compete against whoever's in front of them, and I'm not sure they did prior to Jimmy arriving there.
Look, this isn't, to me, a honeymoon. This just feels different. You know, you talk about practice, right? In Miami, he really barely practiced. In Golden State, he is practicing. In Golden State, he's staying late, showing up early, in film session, in the meal room, the training room. He's spending time with teammates, trying to ingratiate himself more and more. And the commitment that the Warriors gave him with the extension, that's the same commitment he's given back. And in recent weeks, he's had dinner with Draymond Green. They played dominoes. I do expect him and Stephen Curry to get together here very soon on an intimate level. And what we're seeing here is a repeat of history. You think about players like Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, both playing a lot better since Jimmy Butler has been there. And this is the most important stat to me.
Yeah.
Before Jimmy Butler got there, the Warriors were minus 90 when Stephen Curry was off the floor. With Jimmy Butler's arrival in the last few weeks, the Warriors are plus 30. That alone makes this trade a massive win for the Warriors.
It's always been the Golden State Warriors sort of issue is how do they contend with the non-Steph minutes? How do they stay afloat in those minutes that he's off the floor? And with Jimmy, they've looked pretty good so far. I think the definition of not being a honeymoon stage is this lasts for a while and they get their goal of being a top 6 seed. How sustainable is that, Brian?
Well, though, they've got the second easiest schedule coming in the West.
Right.
So when you look at that, you also look at it, they're 2 games out of being in 6, which is their goal.
Right.
What I found interesting is what Draymond said. I know some people smiled at it when Draymond said this team can win the championship. I'm going to pay attention to that a little bit. While I'm not certainly saying that, the reason I think he feels that way, number one, he likes the direction of the team. Number two, he's looking at the teams in front and saying, this is really unclear how this is going to fall. You know, you look at the East, the Cavs have been 1 for the whole season. The Celtics have number 2 locked down. The Knicks are pretty solidly in 3. You got a pretty good idea who's going to be 4 or 5. After the Thunder in 1, I don't know what's going to happen in the West.
Right.
And Draymond feeling that and seeing the opportunities here, I'm going to take that into account as I watch how this unfolds.
Well, and as we just showed in the standings here, they won. The Clippers lost. Of course, they were without Norm Powell, without Kawhi Leonard here. But a game and a half essentially separates 6 through 9 here in the Western Conference. It's the Clippers, it's the Timberwolves, it's the Mavericks, it's the Warriors. Who of those 4 teams is healthy right now? Just Golden State. And so you have to take that into account a little bit. But as the Warriors set their sights here on climbing into the top 6, let's just shoot up the standings a little bit. The top of the West, SGA and the Thunder in Minnesota tonight. And this was a battle here, Brian. OKC led by as many as 19 before the Wolves had that 30-9 run to end the first year.
This shouldn't have been a game. The Thunder had way bigger advantage in this game.
Again, after leading by as many as 19. So to the third we go. Now the Thunder down by 7 here. Alex Caruso misses the 3. But watch again. Wide open Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets that one to go. Thunder down 4 now, Brian.
Thunder basketball. They're always looking for steals and always getting out in transition. Shai finishes.
Well, Shai, he had the aura, right? 37 points, 8 assists, 8 boards, 3 steals. Thunder win. Here's SGA with our George Sedano.
Yeah, we're still figuring it out. Just kind of scary. We have some moving parts, some new lineups, but it doesn't matter. We come out here and compete together, and everything else just falls where it is. And tonight we did something, we got a W.
Your coach's birthday's today. What'd you guys do for him?
The rookie sang, and then I'm going to go in the back and give him a noogie and pour some water on his head.
That's what everyone wants for their 40th birthday, just a little noogie there. That's what Mark Daigneault, he turned 40 yesterday. But the Wolves, they made this a game. They'll have another shot tonight on the road in Oklahoma City, a little home and home. Tim, though, can anyone challenge this team, OKC, in the West right now?
Well, I just think right now it would be unfair to put anybody in their class. They deserve to be on a shelf by themselves in the Western Conference. The question that remains is, and Wendy was alluding to this, where does it fall after this, and who's going to continue to make moves to close the gap? There's some interesting teams for sure. We just touched on a couple of them with Golden State and the Lakers. But when I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, they've got the clean sheet. They don't have weaknesses. They've got enough shooting, an elite level offensive player that there's no answer for, ton of depth, bigs, and then most importantly, I think this is the best defensive team I've seen all year. And Minnesota was able to put up a number against them. It still wasn't enough. So for me, Oklahoma City right now is by themselves. Let's see who could try to chase them down.
Can I just make a quick comment about this game? Thunder were great, finished strong. Ant Edwards, who is playing again, missing some guys.
Yeah.
He got his 14th technical in this game. And I understand that Ant is an emotional player. We don't want to trap that down. But 14 techs, 16 techs is a suspension. he's got to be very careful going forward here. This team, with where they are in the standings, and they've had some losses because they've had injuries, they can't afford him getting suspended.
Absolutely.
And we were all over Luka Doncic earlier in his career when he was dancing around with these types of situations. He's been suspended for techs and has got to hold himself to a standard to control his emotions. And in this game, he could have gotten the tech earlier. The referee actually gave him some rope. And so I think that's something to just pay attention to going forward with the Timberwolves.
You mentioned also the Timberwolves. They are shorthanded right now. As for Minnesota, help could be on the way here, Shams. Maybe not tonight, but what more can you tell us?
Yeah, Malika, so Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, they are out tonight, but there is optimism that they'll be able to make their return to the lineup. At some point, the team is on a 4-game road trip. Tonight in Oklahoma City is when it starts. It ends Sunday in Phoenix. Julius Randle had really started to come on. The Timberwolves were 10-4 before Julius Randle suffered a groin strain in his last 14 games, including 5 wins in a row. So getting him back, Dante DiVincenzo was also shooting the ball very well from the field before his toe injury.
Yeah, the Timberwolves, I mean, Ant told me that it's been a roller coaster of a season for them, and partly, right, because of those injuries. Hey, before we head to break, though, in case you missed it, one person not in Minnesota for the game yesterday, Alex Rodriguez, hit a half-court shot during a Bucknell game to win $10,000, Brian, for a student here.
Did he call back? That's the question.
That is the question. He was in town speaking for a little engagement here.
Pending Minnesota Timberwolves owners.
That's right. That's how we're referring to him. Pending
Alex Rodriguez
owner.
and Mark Laurie.
And hitting the three.
I think the Wolves could use him.
He is practicing in Golden State. He's staying late, showing up early in film session, in the meal room, the training room. He's spending time with teammates, trying to ingratiate himself more and more. And the commitment that the Warriors gave him with the extension, that's the same commitment he's given back. And in recent weeks, he's had dinner with Draymond Green. They played dominoes. I do expect him and Stephen Curry to get together here very soon on an intimate level. And what we're seeing here is a repeat of history. You think about players like Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, both playing a lot better since Jimmy Butler has been there. And this is the most important stat to me.
Yeah.
Before Jimmy Butler got there, the Warriors were minus 90 when Stephen Curry was off the floor. With Jimmy Butler's arrival in the last few weeks, the Warriors are plus 30. That alone makes this trade a massive win for the Warriors.
It's always been the Golden State Warriors sort of issue, is how do they contend with the non-Steph minutes? How do they stay afloat in those minutes that he's off the floor? And with Jimmy, they've looked pretty good so far. I think the definition of not being a honeymoon stage is this lasts for a while and they get their goal of being a top 6 seed. How sustainable is that, Brian?
Well, though, they've got the second easiest schedule coming in the West.
Right.
So when you look at that, you also look at it, they're 2 games out of being in 6, which is their goal.
Right.
What I
Reporting live from Los Angeles, Andrews sets the stage for another action-packed night in the NBA. The discussion kicks off with an eye-catching moment. Steph Curry drains a 3 and immediately flashes his signature night-night celebration, but this time, it's not just a routine gesture. It's a statement. The game is far from over, yet Curry's confidence is unmistakable. The question arises, was this an early goodnight call? A 5 p.m. bedtime declaration? The Bay Area is buzzing, but how long can this energy be sustained? Golden State has been on a tear since acquiring Jimmy Butler, and the debate now shifts to whether this new-look Warriors squad has the staying power to remain among the elite. Meanwhile, across the country, the Knicks are reeling after surrendering a staggering 260 points over their last 2 games. It's an issue that demands immediate attention, and Tim Legler is on deck to break down exactly what New York needs to adjust if they want to be considered true contenders in the Eastern Conference. But perhaps the most intriguing development isn't happening in San Francisco or New York, it's in Los Angeles. The Luka-LeBron duo is thriving, but the Lakers' defensive resurgence is what has experts talking. How are they doing it, and more importantly, can they sustain it? The night belongs to the Warriors, however, and Chase Center is the epicenter of excitement as Bay Area fans finally get their first in-person look at Jimmy Butler in a Golden State uniform. After a grueling road trip and the distraction of All-Star Weekend, the home crowd is eager to see their new star in action. The matchup? A depleted Dallas Mavericks squad, missing key players, but still a test nonetheless. From the opening tip, Butler wastes no time making an impact. A perfectly designed play by Steve Kerr results in an emphatic inside jam from Butler, setting the tone for what's to come. Not long after, Curry goes to work executing a vintage step-back three that pushes the Warriors ahead by 15 at the end of the first quarter. As the second quarter unfolds, Golden State's defensive intensity is on full display. Despite efforts from the Mavericks to contain Curry, the Warriors' offensive machine remains relentless. Butler, showing his signature toughness, fights through contact for a tough floater, drawing a foul in the process. A closer look at the replay only reinforces what everyone in the arena already knows. Butler brings an edge that this team has been missing. Moving into the third, the Warriors remain in complete control. A key offensive rebound leads to another Curry triple, and as the ball splashes through the net, the mics catch a lighthearted moment between Steve Kerr and Butler, both enjoying the show. Moments later, Curry finds himself matched up against P.J. Washington, a solid defender, no doubt, but it doesn't matter. Another step-back three. Another dagger. Another night-night celebration. Curry's gesture isn't without meaning. He later explains that it was a response to Washington, who had hit the very same celebration in two separate victories against Golden State earlier this season. December 15th. February 12th. Curry remembers. And when the opportunity came to return the favor, he didn't hesitate. By the final buzzer, Curry finishes with 30 points, and Golden State cruises to a 126-102 victory. But the numbers only tell part of the story. The real impact of Butler's arrival is evident in the Warriors' newfound balance. The ball movement is crisp, Draymond Green orchestrates the offense with precision, and defensively, they're locked in. The game just feels easier. Post-game, Curry and Green can't say enough about Butler's influence. The game flows when he's on the floor. He simplifies things, gets to the line, makes the right reads, and controls the tempo. His presence isn't just felt, it's transformative. The numbers back it up. Since Butler's debut, the Warriors rank 6th in offensive efficiency and 5th in defensive rating. It's a level of two-way dominance that had been missing earlier in the season. Tim Legler breaks it down further. Butler's impact isn't just about scoring. His passing, his basketball IQ, and his ability to seamlessly fit into Golden State's motion-heavy offense make him invaluable. There were questions about how he'd adapt to the Warriors' style, but those doubts have quickly been erased. Butler doesn't force the action, he enhances it. His ability to occupy open spaces and keep the offense moving has been a revelation. The energy around the team is different. They run out of the tunnel with renewed confidence. They feel like they can compete with anyone. And before Butler arrived? That wasn't necessarily the case. This isn't a honeymoon phase, it's a legitimate shift. Even in practice, Butler's commitment is evident. Unlike his Miami days, where he often took a lighter approach to practice, he's fully engaged in Golden State. Early arrivals, late-night film sessions, bonding with teammates, it's clear he's all in. He spent time with Draymond Green off the court, and a deeper connection with Curry seems inevitable. The impact is already trickling down. Young players like Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody have seen their production increase. And then there's the most telling stat of all. Before Butler arrived, the Warriors were minus 90 in the minutes when Curry was off the floor. Since his arrival? Plus 30. That alone makes this trade a massive win. But the real test? Sustainability. The Warriors have the second easiest remaining schedule in the Western Conference. They're only 2 games out of the coveted 6th seed. Draymond Green recently declared that this team can win a championship. Many scoffed at the notion, but Green sees the landscape clearly. The Western Conference remains unpredictable. Oklahoma City leads the pack, but beyond that, it's wide open. The Clippers, Timberwolves, and Mavericks are all battling injuries. Golden State, meanwhile, is surging at the right time. Across the standings, the Thunder continue to prove why they deserve their place at the top. A thrilling win over the Timberwolves, fueled by a 37-point performance from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, further cements their status as the most complete team in the conference. OKC's defense remains elite, their depth unmatched, and their ability to respond under pressure unquestionable. Tim Legler isn't ready to put any other team in their class just yet. Oklahoma City stands alone in the West, for now. But the playoff race is just heating up. The Knicks must address their defensive shortcomings. The Lakers' defensive resurgence has sparked new hope. And the Warriors, once left for dead, now look like a legitimate threat. Jimmy Butler has changed everything. The question now, can Golden State sustain this momentum and make a legitimate run? The answer is coming soon.